12 Monkeys is a 1995 American science fiction film directed by Terry Gilliam, inspired by Chris Marker's 1962 short film La Jetée copyright and starring Bruce Willis, Madeleine Stowe, and Brad Pitt, with Christopher Plummer and David Morse in supporting roles. In 2013, Gilliam called it the second part of a dystopian satire trilogy begun with 1985's Brazil and concluded with 2013's The Zero Theorem. After Universal Studios acquired the rights to remake La Jetée copyright as a full-length film, David and Janet Peoples were hired to write the script. Under Terry Gilliam's direction, Universal granted the filmmakers a $29.5 million budget, and filming lasted from February to May 1995. The film was shot mostly in Philadelphia and Baltimore, where the story was set. The film was released to critical praise and grossed approximately $168.8 million worldwide. Brad Pitt was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, and won a Golden Globe for his performance. The film also won and was nominated for various categories at the Saturn Awards. Plot: James Cole is a convicted criminal living beneath a post-apocalyptic Philadelphia in the year 2035. In 1996–97, the Earth's surface had been contaminated by a virus so deadly that it forced the survivors to move underground. In the years that followed, scientists had engineered an imprecise form of time travel. To earn a pardon, Cole allows scientists to send him on dangerous missions to the past to collect information on the virus, thought to have been released by a terrorist organization known as the Army of the 12 Monkeys. If possible, he is to obtain a pure sample of the original virus so that a cure can be developed. Cole is troubled by recurring dreams involving a chase and an airport shooting. Cole arrives in Baltimore in 1990, not 1996 as planned. He is arrested and hospitalized in a mental institution on the diagnosis of Dr. Catherine Rayleigh. There he encounters Jeffrey Goins, a fellow mental patient with fanatical animal rights and anti-consumerist leanings. Cole tries unsuccessfully to leave a voicemail on a number monitored by the scientists in the future. After an escape attempt, Cole is locked in a cell, but disappears, returning to the future. Back in his own time, Cole is interviewed by the scientists, who play a distorted voicemail message which gives the location of the Army of the 12 Monkeys and asserts that they are responsible for the virus. He is also shown photos of numerous people suspected of being involved, including Goins. The scientists then send Cole back in time again, first to a French trench during World War I where Cole is shot in the leg before successfully transporting him to 1996. Cole kidnaps Rayleigh and forces her to take him to Philadelphia. They learn that Goins is the founder of the Army of the 12 Monkeys, and set out in search of him. When they find and confront him, however, Goins denies any involvement with the virus and suggests that wiping out humanity was Cole's idea in the asylum in 1990. When the police approach, Cole vanishes. Rayleigh then finds evidence that Cole had been telling her the truth, including a photograph from World War I in which Cole appears, and a bullet in his leg verified to be from that time period. Meanwhile, Cole convinces himself that his future experiences are hallucinations, and persuades the scientists to send him back again. Rayleigh tries to settle the question of Cole's sanity by leaving a voicemail on the number he provided, thereby creating the message the scientists had played right before they sent Cole on his second mission. Both Rayleigh and Cole realize that the coming plague is real, and make plans to try to enjoy the time they have left. On their way to the airport, they learn that the Army of the 12 Monkeys was not the source of the virus. The group's major act of terrorism is to release the animals from the zoo and to place Goins' Nobel Prize-winning father in an animal cage. At the airport, Cole leaves a last message telling the scientists that in following the Army of the 12 Monkeys they are on the wrong track, and that he will not return. He is soon confronted by Jose, an acquaintance from his own time, who gives Cole a handgun and instructions to complete his mission. At the same time, Rayleigh spots Dr. Peters, an assistant at Goins' father's virology lab. Peters is about to embark on a tour of several cities that matches the locations and sequence of the viral outbreaks. After forcing his way through the checkpoint in pursuit of Peters, Cole is fatally shot by police. As Cole dies in Rayleigh's arms, she makes eye contact with a small boy, the young James, witnessing the scene of his own death, which will replay in his dreams for years to come. Peters, aboard the plane with the virus, sits down next to Jones, one of the scientists from the future. She draws Peters into a discussion about whether he believes humanity is doomed or not. Cast: Bruce Willis as James Cole, Madeleine Stowe as Catherine Rayleigh, Brad Pitt as Jeffrey Goins, Christopher Plummer as Dr. Goins, John Cedar as Jose, Christopher Melanie as Lieutenant Halperin, David Morse as Dr. Peters, Frank Gorshin as Dr. Fletcher, Vernon Campbell as Tiny, Lisa Gay Hamilton as Teddy, Bob Adrian as Geologist, Simon Jones as Zoologist, Carol Florence as Astrophysicist Jones, Bill Raymond as Microbiologist, Thomas Roy as a Street Preacher. Production, development. The genesis of 12 Monkeys come from executive producer Robert Kosberg, who had been a fan of the French short film La Jetée copyrightee. Kosberg persuaded the film's director, Chris Marker, to let him pitch the project to Universal Pictures, seeing it as a perfect basis for a full-length science fiction film. Universal reluctantly agreed to purchase the remake rights and hired David and Janet Peoples to write the screenplay. Producer Charles Roven chose Terry Gilliam to direct because he believed the filmmaker's style was perfect for 12 Monkeys' nonlinear storyline and time travel subplot. Gilliam had just abandoned a film adaptation of A Tale of Two Cities when he signed to direct 12 Monkeys. A film also represents the second film for which Gilliam did not write or co-write the screenplay. Although he prefers to direct his own scripts, he was captivated by the Peoples' intriguing and intelligent script. The story is disconcerting. It deals with time, madness and a perception of what the world is or isn't. It is a study of madness and dreams, of death and rebirth, set in a world coming apart. Universal took longer than expected to approve 12 Monkeys, although Gilliam had 2 stars and a firm budget of $29.5 million. Universal's production of Waterworld had resulted in various cost overruns. To get 12 Monkeys approved for production, Gilliam persuaded Willis to lower his normal asking price. Because of Universal's strict production incentives and his history with the studio on Brazil, Gilliam received final cut privilege. The Writers Guild of America was skeptical of the inspired by credit for La Jetée copyrightee and Chris Marker. Casting: Gilliam's initial casting choices were Nick Nolte as James Cole and Jeff Bridges as Jeffrey Goins, but Universal objected. Gilliam, who first met Bruce Willis while casting Jeff Bridges' role in The Fisher King, believed Willis evoked Cole's characterization as being somebody who is strong and dangerous but also vulnerable. The actor had a trio of tattoos drawn onto his scalp and neck each day when filming, one that indicated his prisoner number, and a pair of barcodes on each side of his neck. Gilliam cast Madeleine Stowe as Dr. Catherine Rayleigh because he was impressed by her performance in Blink. The director first met Stowe when he was casting his abandoned film adaptation of A Tale of Two Cities. "She has this incredible ethereal beauty and she's incredibly intelligent," Gilliam said of Stowe. "Those two things rest very easily with her, and the film needed those elements because it has to be romantic." Gilliam originally believed that Pitt was not right for the role of Jeffrey Goins, but the casting director convinced him otherwise. Pitt was cast for a comparatively small salary, as then he was still relatively unknown. By the time of 12 Monkeys' release, however, Interview with the Vampire Chronicles, Legends of the Fall, and Say 7N had been released, making Pitt an A-list actor, which drew greater attention to the film and boosted its box office standing. In Philadelphia, months before filming, Pitt spent weeks at Temple University's hospital, visiting and studying the psychiatric ward to prepare for his role. Filming for 12 Monkeys lasted from February 8 to May 6, 1995. Shooting on location in Philadelphia and Baltimore in winter was fraught with weather problems. There were also technical glitches with the futuristic mechanical props. Because the film has a nonlinear storyline, continuity errors occurred, and some scenes had to be reshot. Gilliam also injured himself when he went horseback riding. Despite setbacks, however, the director managed to stay within the budget and was only a week behind his shooting schedule. "It was a tough shoot," acknowledged Jeffrey Beecroft, the production designer. "There wasn't a lot of money or enough time. Terry is a perfectionist, but he was really adamant about not going over budget. He got crucified for Munchausen, and that still haunts him." The filmmakers were not allowed the luxury of sound stages. Thus, they had to find abandoned buildings or landmarks to use. The exteriors of the climactic airport scene were shot at the Baltimore-Washington International Airport, while the interior scenes were shot at the Pennsylvania Convention Center. Filming at the psychiatric hospital was done at the Eastern State Penitentiary. Design: Gilliam used the same filmmaking style as he had in Brazil, including the art direction and cinematography. The appearance of the interrogation room where Cole is being interviewed by the scientists was based on the work of Lebbeus Woods. These scenes were shot at 3 different power stations. Gilliam intended to show Cole being interviewed through a multi-screen interrogation TV set because he felt the machinery evoked a nightmarish intervention of technology. "You try to see the faces on the screens in front of you, but the real faces and voices are down there and you have these tiny voices in your ear. To me that's the world we live in, the way we communicate these days, through technical devices that pretend to be about communication but may not be." The art department made sure that the 2035 underground world would only use pre-1996 technology as a means to depict the bleakness of the future. Gilliam, Beecroft, and Crispian Salas went to several flea markets and salvage warehouses looking for materials to decorate the sets. The majority of visual effects sequences were created by Peerless Camera, the London-based effects studio that Gilliam founded in the late 1970s with visual effects supervisor Kent Houston. Additional digital compositing was done by The Mill, while Cinesight provided film scanning services. Music: a film's score was composed, arranged, and conducted by English musician Paul Buckmaster. The main theme is based on Argentinian tango musician and composer Astor Piazzolla's Suite Punta del Este. Themes: memory, time, and technology. 12 Monkeys studies the subjective nature of memories and their effect upon perceptions of reality. Examples of false memories include Cole's recollection of the airport shooting, which is altered each time he has the dream. A mentally divergent man at the asylum who has false memories. References to time, time travel, and monkeys are scattered throughout the film, including the Woody Woodpecker cartoon Time Tunnel playing on the TV in a hotel room, the Marx Brothers film Monkey Business on TV in the asylum, and the subplots of Monkeys. The film is also a study of modern civilization's declining efforts to communicate with each other due to the interference of technology. Cinematic allusions: 12 Monkeys is inspired by the French short film La Jetée copyright E. As in La Jetée copyright E, characters are haunted by the image of their own death. Like La Jetée copyright E, 12 Monkeys contains references to Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. Toward the end of the film, Cole and Rayleigh hide in a theater showing a 24-hour Hitchcock marathon and watch a scene from Vertigo. Rayleigh then transforms herself with a blonde wig, as Judy transformed herself into blonde Madeleine in Vertigo. Cole sees her emerge within a red light, as Scotty saw Judy emerge within a green light. Brief notes of Bernard Herrmann's film score can also be heard. Rayleigh also wears the same coat Novak wore in the first part of Vertigo. The scene at Muirwoods National Monument, where Judy looks at the growth rings of a felled redwood and traces back events in her past life, resonates with larger themes in 12 Monkeys. Cole and Rayleigh later have a similar conversation while the same music from Vertigo is repeated. The Muirwood scene in Vertigo is also reenacted in La Jetée copyright E. In a previous scene in the film, Cole wakes up in a hospital bed with scientists of the future talking to him in chorus. This is a direct homage to the Dry Bones scene in Dennis Potter's The Singing Detective. Reception, release: 12 Monkeys was given a limited release in the United States on December 29, 1995. When the 1,629 theater-wide release came on January 5, 1996, the film earned $13.84 million in its opening weekend. 12 Monkeys eventually grossed $57.14 million in U.S. totals and $111.7 million in other countries, coming to a worldwide total of $168.84 a million. The film was able to hold the #1 spot on box office charts for 2 weeks in January, before dropping due to competition from Dusk Till Dawn, Mr. Holland's Opus and Black Sheep. Universal Studios' home entertainment special edition of 12 Monkeys, released on May 10, 2005, contains an audio commentary by director Terry Gilliam and producer Charles Roven, The Hamster Factor and Other Tales of 12 Monkeys and production notes. A HD DVD of 12 Monkeys was released on March 4, 2008, and includes the same special features as the special edition DVD. A Blu-ray disc of 12 Monkeys was released on July 28, 2009, and includes the same special features as the previous special edition DVD and HD DVD. Critical reception: a film received a positive response from critics. Based on 56 reviews collected by Rotten Tomatoes, 88% of the critics enjoyed 12 Monkeys with an average rating of 7.4/10. The consensus reads, "The plot's a bit of a jumble, but excellent performances and mind-blowing plot twists make 12 Monkeys a cookie, effective experience." By comparison, Metacritic calculated a 74/100 rating, based on 20 reviews. Roger Ebert observed 12 Monkeys' depiction of the future, finding similarities with Blade Runner and Brazil. The film is a celebration of madness and doom, with a hero who tries to prevail against the chaos of his condition, and is inadequate, Ebert wrote. This vision is a cold, dark, damp one, and even the romance between Willis and Stowe feels desperate rather than joyous. All of this is done very well, and the more you know about movies, the more you're likely to admire it. And as entertainment, it appeals more to the mind than to the senses. Desson Thompson of The Washington Post praised the art direction and set design. Willis and Pitts' performances, Gilliam's atmospherics and an exhilarating momentum easily outweigh such trifling flaws in the script, Thompson reasoned. Peter Travers from Rolling Stone magazine cited the film's success on Gilliam's direction and Willis' performance. Internet reviewer James Berardinelli believed the filmmakers took an intelligent and creative motive for the time travel subplot. Rather than being sent to change the past, James Cole is instead observing it to make a better future. Richard Corliss of Time magazine felt the film's time travel aspect and apocalyptic depiction of a bleaker future were cliché copyright-s. In its frantic mix of chaos, carnage and zoo animals, 12 Monkeys is Jumanji for adults, Corliss wrote. Awards and nominations: Brad Pitt was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, but lost to Kevin Spacey in The Usual Suspects. Costume designer Julie Weiss was also nominated for her work, but lost to James Akeson of Restoration. However, Pitt was able to win a Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture. Terry Gilliam was honored for his directing duties at the 46th Berlin International Film Festival. 12 Monkeys received positive notices from the science fiction community. The film was nominated for the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation and the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy and Horror Films awarded 12 Monkeys the Saturn Award for Best Science Fiction Film. Pitt and Weiss also won awards at the 22nd Saturn Awards. Bruce Willis, Madeleine Stowe, Gilliam and writers David and Janet Peoples received nominations. Lebbeus Wood's lawsuit: in the beginning of the film, Cole is brought into the interrogation room and told to sit in a chair attached to a vertical rail on the wall. A sphere supported by a metal armature is suspended directly in front of him, probing for weaknesses as the Inquisitors interrogate him. Architect Lebbeus Woods filed a lawsuit against Universal in February 1996, claiming that his work near a mechanical tower chamber was used without permission. Woods won his lawsuit, requiring Universal to remove the scenes, but he ultimately allowed their inclusion in exchange for a high six-figure cash settlement from Universal. TV adaptation: on August 26, 2013, Entertainment Weekly announced that Sci-Fi was developing a television series based on the film. Production is set to begin in November 2013. The pilot is being written by Terry Matalas and Travis Fickett, who had written for the series Terra Nova. Due to the series being labeled as cast contingent, The series will not move forward until the roles of Cole and Goins are cast. In April 2014, Sci-Fi greenlit the first season, which will consist of 13 episodes, including the pilot filmed in 2013. The series is slated to premiere in January 2015. See also, List of films featuring time loops, references. External links, 12 Monkeys at the Internet Movie Database, 12 Monkeys at AllMovie, 12 Monkeys at Rotten Tomatoes, 12 Monkeys at Metacritic, 12 Monkeys at Box Office Mojo.